Joined right now by Caroline Russell, who's a Green Party London Assembly member. Caroline Russell, welcome to the BBC.
Thank you so much.
Caroline, we were just talking to James Farrar about this latest Uber ruling from the Supreme Court. What does this mean for London? I know that there's been so much conversation in the past between the Mayor, Sadiq Khan, and Uber. It's something lots of Londoners rely on, getting home. I mean, less so these days, admittedly. But what does this new ruling mean for London?
Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate James Farrar and Yaseen Aslam for the incredible persistence they showed in this case and winning the case, because it is absolutely transformatory. Uber has run rings around London and Londoners over these last years. They have disrupted the whole model of taxis and private hire. They've exploited workers, and by adding to the number of vehicles on the road, because that suited their business model, they've added to congestion and pollution in a really massive way that has been really damaging for London. So I think, what it means for London is we've got to get on and make sure that Uber now do the right thing and treat their workers properly. I mean, that's the first thing. And I think then the other thing is, we need to make those workers' rights a condition of them getting a private hire license in London. Just thinking about what those private hire drivers have been through over this last year while we've been living through the pandemic, and also taxi drivers have lost all their customers, those daily flows of commuters coming in and out of London, and the tourists and everyone else who's no longer around, no longer needing those journeys. Now, if those drivers driving for Uber had had their workers' rights, they might have been eligible for furlough, or they would have had sick pay so that they could self-isolate. It really impacts on the whole of society when workers are not properly paid and when they're not properly looked after. And then the other thing, obviously, is Uber have been again running rings around us by claiming that they're a tech company rather than that they are an operator running a private hire company. And by doing that, James, I think, said it was £1 billion of VAT that the Treasury has been denied by Uber. This is absolutely massive. So, I just hope that Uber now turn around and do the right thing.
Caroline, what does this mean as well for the black cabbies? Historically, they've been the ones who have been against Uber and Uber's abilities to move through the city. There's been the conversations that Uber has taken a lot of the work off black cabbies, pricing them out of their jobs. What does this new ruling mean for them? Will that make their lives easier?
Well, I think it is. What has been so damaging about Uber is A, their exploitation of their own drivers, but B, the way that they have disrupted the whole model of taxis and private hire in London. Because the Uber model depended on more and more drivers being available, so there was a very quick, easy, when lots of people needed to get a vehicle to get home, they needed lots and lots of vehicles around. So they encouraged a lot of drivers to take on loans on vehicles and to get into start working on the Uber platform. And then you found those drivers found themselves trapped with a loan on their car and having to work very long hours. And that disrupted the whole taxi economy, as well as being very bad for the Uber drivers who were driving on the platform as well. So I think, if this means that that Uber is properly regulated and takes on its role as a private hire operator and behaves decently, looks after its workers, then we may well find that actually things get better for the taxi drivers as well, because there will be fewer vehicles on the road, and but those vehicles that there are will be properly paid, and Uber hopefully will also be paying their taxes, their VAT.
Caroline Russell, that's a similar thing that James was saying. If they can just turn it around and pay their staff right and treat their workers right, they're in with a good chance of succeeding and continuing. Caroline Russell, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Now, Caroline will be standing in the London Assembly elections in May, and we'll be speaking to more of the candidates in the coming weeks. And all the candidates running for the London mayoral elections are listed on the BBC website. So please do head over there if you want to check them out. Now, if you are a taxi driver, an Uber driver, part of the gig economy, do give me a call off